America's Best Country. It's John Denver.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong.
America's Best Country is Pam Tillis. America's Best Country is the Statler Brothers.
Scouting flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all. Playing solitaire till dawn with the deck of 51.
America's Best Country is Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your...
America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM. A local company is now taking applications for experienced welders. Call 660-465-8572 or allstate@niemer.net. All States Equipment Incorporated, 908 North Browning Street in Memphis, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, we have the possibility of some areas of dense fog this morning. Otherwise, it'll be sunny, and the high should be near 60. Tonight, we'll see clear skies and the low right around 38. Tomorrow, it'll be sunny, and the high should be near 65. Tomorrow night, it'll be mostly clear, and the low should be around 45. I'm Rick Fisher. That's weather on America's Best Country.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without price. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could.
Good morning and welcome to Healthy You. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, the last day of hunting season. Hope you all have your venison stew cooking well with the rutabaga squash surprise. I don't know. It's the time of year for root vegetables.
Okay. If root vegetables.
I picked a bunch of turnips out of the food plot on my way back from yet another unsuccessful hunt.
It's okay, Doc.
But I got turnips, so I brought something, It was good.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the turnip.
There's Dr. Harlow Donaldson,
Yes,
because he's
indeed.
one of our special guests today.
Yes, he is.
And I love turnip greens. They're great.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're great.
awesome.
Little bacon or salt pork in there with them. Yeah, no, that's good. There's Bud back from assignment. How you doing,
So
Bud?
They taste like kerosene to me. I mean, I just can't. I don't know.
No, after the first frost, they turn sweet, and that's
Well,
why
do
the deer
you-
like to eat them.
So
They're great.
Do you boil them and mash them like mashed potatoes? Or
I just
something
like eating them
that?
raw because I just
Really?
you can cook them that way, but they have a little sort of a little twinge to them, a little zip.
Yeah.
I like that,
Yeah.
and they're good for you.
Yes.
All root vegetables are good.
Yeah. So we took a train. We went to. We went over to Illinois. Got on a train.
Was it the A train?
It was the A.
Was it the
train.
Chattanooga Choo Choo?
It was, and we went to.
Pardon me, Roy. Is that the cat that chewed your new shoes? You've heard that old one.
It was on track 49.
I used to play gigs with Tex Beneke. I used to play trombone gigs with Tex Beneke, and from the Modernaires. Yeah, I played that song
Awesome.
until it was coming out of my ears. So you took the train.
Yeah, I went to New Orleans, and
Yeah.
then we rented a car and drove over to Pensacola, saw the kids, and spent 14 hours on a train with some people from the UK, and it was awesome.
Wow, that's neat.
They'd never been here before, and boy, do we take care of them.
Was it like the old-fashioned trains with the porter serving you?
No.
On the white linens and the silverware and the oatmeal and the. I remember that on the one train trip I took as a kid.
Really?
Back in 1800.
They still have linen tablecloths and carnations on the
They
tables
do,
at
and,
dinner time. Yeah.
And we got to be in the car where you could see everything from up high, and it was
Observation
awesome.
car, yeah.
And you get up and move around, go do whatever you want. That's just anyway. We had a good time. I wanted to say before we got started and before we get into the show too deep, because you never know where this goes.
No, it's dangerous.
A big Thanksgiving.
Listen at your own risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and I'm wondering, are we justified if we're thankful for not having to go through something like the storm over on the East Coast and the decimation that the East Coast took. I saw a story this morning, Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan, a hospital that Dr. Miller Parrish is very familiar with, has taken a step forward, and their doors are open for non-emergency services, which is the first time they've been open since the storm. So I just want to say a big thank you for everybody who's been out there and working hard
that's true.
on one of the worst ever storms to hit the East Coast. And also our men and women in the service of our country, our law enforcement, our fire and rescue, our public health medical staffs, our health caregivers there at the hospital, all these people who get no holiday, no Thanksgiving, who do not attend their kindergarten graduations or their high school graduations, who miss birthday celebrations, who miss their kids' prom night, all those things. We thank everyone for that. Appreciate it. And then, did you see the story about this dog, this dachshund, 10-year-old dog?
Yeah.
And he used to be carted around by his owner.
Yeah.
His name is Jasper, and they had a trolley for him because his short hind legs were paralyzed after he was hit by a car. So here's this dog. You got the visualization, a wiener dog.
Did the Wounded Dog Warriors agency provide that? I don't know.
Well, this is amazing to me because...
Where are you going with the paralyzed dachshund story here?
Oh, hang on.
Okay, I'm
we
waiting.
We are hanging
Wow.
on.
I got you, right?
There's only 3 minutes left in the segment. But
After the researchers took some cells from the dog's nose, that's right, from the dog's nose, and implanted them in the injured spine.
Yeah? Wow.
Jasper...
So wait a minute. They took the dog whose hind legs are paralyzed.
Right, he got
this
hit.
little Oscar Mayer wiener dog.
He got run over.
And they took stem cells from the dog's nose.
They did.
Replanted them in the spinal cord.
Now,
so every time that he sneezes, he can jump as high as a basketball hoop.
There you go. That's the visual right there.
And do a double backflip.
And he doesn't have to think about it. It just happens.
His dog and pony show.
His master says he whizzes around the house in the garden, keeps up with the other dogs.
Wow.
He was one of 34 dogs that had paralyzed hind legs and participated in a random double-blind study at Cambridge. And the results have been that what they did was they collected olfactory ensheathing cells. Now, you, doctor, know what that is. I do not. From the dog's noses. They cultured them in a petri dish for 3 to 5 weeks and then injected them in the dog's spine. And the dog can walk, not only walk, run. Is that, I had to say something about
So if they can do that, why can't they take a hair cell from the back of my hairy chest and put it on my non-hairy head? I mean, come on, that's all. I'm not asking for much here.
I did not think that's.
I mean, if you want to go somewhere with stem cells, do something that really helps people.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be on TV then.
Never mind walking, just have hair on top of your head. I like it.
Oh, well, maybe we can talk about stem cells with our esteemed and really, celebrated guest, Dr. Christopher Halliday, DDS, Master of Public Health, and a retired Rear Admiral in the U.S. Public Health Service. I think you're a proctologist. No, you're a dentist, retired Rear Admiral. And I mean, it's amazing. The Surgeon General of the United States, no less than the Surgeon General of the United States, Regina Benjamin, said that he has an opportunity to share his passion of service to the underserved and vulnerable populations of his students. I will personally miss his dedication and commitment to the welfare of the Office of the Surgeon General.
And they are missing him.
I know. He's received numerous honors and awards from the Public Health Service and Indian Health Service, including Isolated Hardship Award, Commendation Medal, Outstanding Service Medal, and the Surgeon General's Exemplary Service
He's
Medal.
over here shaking his head
and
like
he
most people do.
Is the inaugural the inaugural dean of the new dental school down at Kirksville, the Missouri School of Dentistry and Oral Health, and also our own Dr. Harlow Donaldson joins us as well. And welcome, gentlemen. How you doing? Chris, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for inviting me to be here. It's great to be here with y'all.
And so you've been really all over the state serving underserved populations, and I know that's a big thrust of the school here in terms of its ultimate mission. And Dr. Donaldson, we know, serves. We are not among the richest counties in the area and richest areas in the state. And so you've done that your whole career, too.
Until they tell us that, we're not aware of that. We have to go on and do our thing every day and don't sweat it.
Now, your training, Chris, was where? As far as your dental school and your...
dental school, I went to Marquette University, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and did my master's in public health training at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Are you a Midwesterner?
Not directly. I was born on the West Coast, but my parents and my older siblings are from Kansas and Missouri. So my dad grew up in southeastern Kansas, and my mother in Kansas City, and my older siblings grew up around Overland Park.
Yeah, and the nature of the public health service is you move all around wherever the need is there.
That's it, yeah. And I was a member of the Commission Corps of the U.S. Public Health Service. It's one of the 7 uniformed services in the United States. Wow. So the mission of our Corps is to meet the needs of underserved, and we're a mobile Corps.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
So you trained at Marquette University. Dr. Donaldson, you trained at What's the Matter You? Is that right? No, I'm just kidding. You trained over at KC, right?
KC.
Yeah. And where'd you do your undergraduate work?
I started out at Hannibal LaGrange on a basketball scholarship in JUCO.
Right.
And I went to Fayette Central College.
Yeah.
And neither one of these exist anymore because Hannibal is now Hannibal LaGrange University.
Yeah.
And Central College is now Central Methodist University. My dental school was Kansas City University School of Dentistry, and it doesn't exist anymore. It's University of Missouri.
Well, if you'll notice that everywhere that Dr. Donaldson has attended,
I knew that was coming.
His bona fides have done nothing but elevated the prestige of the institution.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. I don't care what they say about you. You're a quality guy. We'll step aside and take a little break, and then we'll invite your phone calls because this is really a monumental step forward for Northeast Missouri in general, the Kirksville area in particular, and I think the population that really is has a lot of problems getting access to good oral health and dental health. And so we'd like to learn about exactly what's going on with the dental school, when the first class will graduate. I think they matriculated. When was that? Matriculate. That's not a urologic term, Bob.
Okay.
And that's not something. That means when did they start medical school, or dental school?
We're shooting for this fall.
For this fall, for the first.
That's what we're hoping for.
So is it a 3-year course or 4?
It's a 4-year. And first 2 years in Kirksville.
Wow.
Third year, the students do their clinical training in St. Louis, and then fourth year, half the class will be in St. Louis, and the other half will travel around the state working at community health centers.
It seems like just yesterday that they started the college, and we're already going to graduate our first come this spring.
No. We're starting.
Oh, you're starting your first.
That's
time.
our host.
So you're matriculating this first class. Okay. Join us and give us a call if you'd like to matriculate or something else. We'd like to have you do it on the air.
1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225.
It's Healthy You. We're having way too much fun, and it's Thanksgiving week. We'll be right back.
So darling, save the last dance for me. So don't forget who's taking you home, or in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Oh baby, won't you save the last dance for me? Ooh, you make a promise that you'll save the last dance.
Are you pregnant or think you might be? It's common to feel confused, scared, or overwhelmed. The choices you face now are not easy ones, and Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center is available to help you. Our trained pregnancy consultants truly care about you and are dedicated to helping with decisions about pregnancy and other related concerns. Come in for a free pregnancy test and learn about options and help available to you. All of our services are free and confidential. Give Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center a call at 660-465-7179.
It's the nothing but net buzzer beater.
Made it at the buzzer. That's good. That counts.
The gravity-defying dunks.
Absolutely flushed it.
It's the rebound that saves the win. The no-look pass around the back. The student body that never stops believing. It's Tiger basketball.
Sponsors include Hoosie's, Memphis Lumber Company, the dental office of Dr. Harlow Donaldson, Breddo Pizza, M's Place, Kirksville Yamaha Honda, and Carpet One.
Ferry residents, this is Tooth speaking. I'm sorry, did you say credit? Credit Ferry? Perhaps you have the wrong number. Actually, no, I'm not familiar with the Credit Ferry, and I know all the ferries. We're a tight-knit bunch. Why don't you tell me more about what the Credit Ferry does? Maybe it'll ring a bell. The Credit Ferry magically raises your credit score so you'll be more likely to receive better interest rates? I'm pretty sure there's not a Credit Ferry. But I do know you can improve your credit rating by paying bills on time and keeping your credit card balances low. Glad I could help. Me? Well, I leave money under children's pillows. Adults? No, kids only. But I do know a good dentist.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there is help, and it's free. Go to creditferry.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the Consumer Bankers Foundation, the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights Education Fund, and the Ad Council.
Truman State University offers a complete college experience that puts the focus on student achievement. My name is Sean, a biology major here at Truman. If you value a university with a community environment and the support of faculty who know you personally, Truman is your best choice. The Truman Experience allows students to learn beyond the classroom through study abroad, student research, internships, and more than 250 student organizations. Check out what your Truman Experience could be. Truman State University. Recognized quality, remarkable value.
The Missouri Attorney General's office has a new settlement that may benefit you. If you bought an LCD TV, a computer monitor, or a laptop computer between 1999 and 2006, you're likely eligible to receive at least $25 for each TV or monitor you purchased. Filing a claim is fast and easy. Visit the Attorney General's website at ago.mo.gov to file your claim. But hurry, you must file your claim by December 6th. Visit ago.mo.gov.
We're back. It's 22 after the hour. KMEM 100.5. If it's Tuesday morning, it is Healthy You, the award-winning Healthy You. And I have to thank Elisa Kiger for her producing on this program, and Bud for all he does for the show, and you especially for listening. Dr. Chris Halliday joins Dr. Harlow Donaldson as our special guest in the studio today. And Dr. Halliday is... well, let's just say he has really, really dedicated his entire life, starting with a tour of 3 years in Barrow, Alaska, to the native population there, right?
That's correct.
And I didn't know there was a difference between Alaskan Indians and Alaskan Eskimos. Shows you what I know.
It definitely depends what part of the state of Alaska you look at. But generally speaking, the coastal areas, the western and northern coastal areas, more Eskimo populations. And then you get to the interior and the southeast, you have more Indians, Athabascans, for example.
Yeah. And then you spent time in New Mexico and Arizona as well, and then time in the Beltway, I guess, working to sort of coordinate services to underserved folks, right?
That's correct.
Is this your first venture into organizing and presiding over a dental school?
This is my first adventure, yep. This is it.
Little job, right? Little,
yeah, it's a little
couple hours a day, and go out and hit the coffee shop the rest of the day. Right?
No, it's a little change, but I got to admit, it's a very welcome change after 14 years inside the Beltway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really nice to be in a community where there's a common focus and a common goal, and everyone's working together. You don't see that in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and I guess, Doc, you can speak to the difficulties of access to dental care in these parts, right? I mean,
that is correct.
Problems with assurability. Yeah. Problems with access, even if you have insurance. Problems. I mean, I can tell you, was born and raised and practiced in St. Louis, I never appreciated the paucity of dental services in rural America. I mean, because everyone that I knew with had dental coverage, and they worked, and they got their teeth cleaned, and their fluoride treatments, and everyone had their pearly whites. We have a real dental problem in rural America, and certainly in northeast Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely, and unfortunately, Missouri it's documented that Missouri ranks down towards the bottom as far as access to care, not only for adults, but maybe more importantly, even for children.
Yeah.
So there's a huge access problem within the state, and then, of course, along with the access problem, you're most likely going to see a huge increase in the oral health disparities experienced by those same populations.
Yeah. And, at a time when I mean, one of my sponsors in St. Louis is very entrepreneurial. All dentists in those areas are becoming entrepreneurial. And I kid him. I say, boy, you got to find something to do. You guys have done a great job in prevention where people have access and do those preventive type things. And people are branching out into treatment for obstructive sleep apnea and appliances for that, and neuromuscular dentistry and so forth. And so, fast braces this and quick, teeth whitening there. In a way, that's a sign of capability that really we wish we could share with everyone, because it means there are people that really are improving their dental health, and then we have this disparity that you talked about. It's really tragic, because that does translate to more than just your teeth rotting out. It translates, we're learning, to total body health.
Absolutely. The science is out there. There's literature showing a strong association between oral health and cardiovascular disease, pulmonary health. There's even speculation about an association with low birth weight preterm babies.
Yeah.
The diabetic population especially, it's very important to make sure we have good oral health conditions to help increase their overall health, not just the oral health. And something which is very important to me is, especially with the younger population, we need to make sure that they have good oral health for developmental reasons. We want to make sure that children are able to eat correctly. We also want to make sure that children are able to learn to speak their native language, whether it's English or otherwise. And then also the strong association between children who have poor oral health and their self-esteem, their ability to interact and socialize with their peers. So, within the dental profession, we've been saying for the last several years, it's not just teeth, it's not just oral health. Oral health is integral to overall health.
And I know, Doc, when we have you on the air, we're talking about general dentistry, and I know that, I guess like all medical fields, it seems like the generalist is becoming sort of going the way of the dodo bird in many venues, especially in metropolitan areas, but that's not the case here. I mean, you have to do it all, don't you?
Yeah, when you're out here, you just roll your sleeves up and go.
Yeah. Do you do some of the sleep apnea work and some of that stuff?
No, I have enough other stuff to do without branching. and you know that old thing about the old dog and new tricks.
Yeah.
No,
oh, come on.
No.
You've been at it for what, 20 years? 15, 20? No, you recently celebrated 40, right? 50, that's right, 50, yeah. Holy cow. I didn't think you were that old.
Well, I graduated young.
Okay.
at heart.
As a first dean of the Missouri School of Dental Health, what's the formal name? Dentistry and Oral Health. What are your main goals here as you get your first class in this fall, and what are your goals? To establish a core program and branch out, or will it always be general, or where are you going with this thing?
Right now the plan is to develop general dentists, but we want to make sure that we're developing general dentists to have a community focus. So if you can imagine, not just writing up a treatment plan for that individual patient in the chair. We want to make sure that we're developing dentists who can develop a treatment plan for the entire community that they serve. For example, prevention activities, educational activities. We want to make sure that we develop dentists that are leaders within their community, leaders not only with clinical dentistry, but education within the community. We want to make sure that we develop dentists who are able to apply the science and translate that science into practice in their communities.
And so in that pursuit, how many students enrolled this year?
Well, what we're hoping for is that now we're hoping for the first couple of classes to have a class size of about 40.
Okay.
The school, the physical capacity of the school, once we get up and running and have everything worked out, will be 65 at the maximum.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The first 2 years, as I mentioned before, will be in Kirksville. Year 3 will be in St. Louis. And then year 4, half the class will be in St. Louis, and the other half will travel around the state working in community health centers to deliver oral health care to underserved and disadvantaged population groups.
So I don't know how dental training mirrors medical training, but typically you do a lot of chalkboard work and textbook work, didactic work for the first couple of years. Then you head out and you do some work either with a practicing doctor or with an academic like yourself who supervises. And gradually you get more independence. How does the supervision go in terms of actually putting the drill to a tooth or, doing that kind of core work? When do they start that, and who's supervising it?
That will start with the year 3.
Okay.
And in year 3, there'll be what we call floor instructors. There'll be a number of dentists who serve as floor instructors, not only educate, to also observe, direct observation of the students, to walk around, assist the students when they need help, otherwise to watch the students and make sure that they're applying the skill sets that they learned in the preclinical training.
Where in St. Louis will that be occurring?
We're looking at several sites right now, but most likely we're going to be working out of the Soulard-Benton area in St. Louis.
And then private doctors will be
absolutely
sort of. Okay.
We've had strong interest from the private dentists to assist us, not only in St. Louis but in Kirksville too, with the preclinical training.
Neat.
The Missouri Dental Association has expressed a strong interest in working with us in this program. Also, strong partnerships with the Missouri Foundation for Health and the Missouri Primary Care Association. So we had a lot of interest from folks wanting to work with us.
Okay, and then eventually will you have, because I remember, I think Wash U used to have a dental school, and you could go down there and get some reduced fee care by what amounts to the analogy for medical residents, I mean trainees, under the supervision. Is that the eventual goal up here or not?
Not at this time in Kirksville. We're not going to have a clinic in the dental school in Kirksville, but right next door to us in Kirksville, the Northeast Missouri Health Council has a brand new clinic. They have the capacity for up to 18 chairs once they're fully equipped, and they will be providing services in that clinic right next door, and some of our fourth-year students will be in that clinic as well.
So you'll be working with my friend Andy Grimm.
Absolutely. Andy's been a very strong partner.
Yes, that's great. And so I guess what's driving this other than need and your passion? I mean, how's this being funded? Because it seems like a circular argument. That's the catch-22 here. There's no funding for rural health care for dentistry type of stuff. So is there some help through federal funds, state funds? Where's this coming from?
Well, A.T. Still University, of course, has invested quite a bit in the school, and we've received generous support also from the Missouri Foundation for Health.
Okay, good.
In addition, the citizens in northeastern Missouri, Kirksville, and the surrounding communities have also been very generous.
Great. And then tuition fees as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Doc, you're going to be going down there and lecturing and doing some help down there. I can't help. I can't think. You're a born performer. I can't think you not doing a lecture or two down
there.
That
might be the problem. I'm a performer, and not. No, I don't know that. We'll just have to cross that bridge when it gets here.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'd very much like to see you down there. I'd like to extend the invitation because what I really would like to see, have the students meet the private practice dentists who have lived and worked in rural Missouri.
Right. Yeah.
You know the situation very well in rural healthcare, and I'd love for the students to learn directly from the masters.
Yeah, and I think of that book of a decade ago, Everything I Learned in Kindergarten. Well, I think most of what I ultimately learned in terms of my day-to-day practice came from practicing physicians that I learned from. I had that basic, infrastructure that the school taught me. But it always ain't that way when you get out in the community, is it? I mean, because you have to be a bit of an artist and a bit of and that's where your acting and your singing and sort of being an improvisationist is very important because clinical situations don't always fit the textbooks. Let's be honest about it.
The textbook tells you in tooth preparation and what's in reality are not anyways remotely close.
Example.
Well, the outline, if you're cutting a preparation for a tooth surface restoration, it looks great in that book, but when that patient comes in and half that tooth's gone, you can't use that illustration that's in that book.
I see. But now a lot of things, too, have changed technologically, right? I mean, and there are people that are still doing it sort of the old-fashioned way with dental labs that take your moldings and your so forth. But then aren't there folks now that can crank out a crown like that with some fancy laser machine?
Yeah, you can do all that, but when you live in an area like this where insurance plays a big part of covering their expense in the cities, we don't have that insurance out here.
Right.
And because I have mentioned this I'd like to have one of these machines sitting over here where we could go in and finish this preparation and you get your new crown today. But it doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work.
Because we don't, here, it's out of pocket.
Yeah.
We don't have the insurance coverage that's going to pick all that up for you. And so, when we talk about a crown, well, how am I going to feed my kids if I fix that tooth?
I see, yeah. Yeah.
Or my car battery just quit on me. And so what's going to get priority? That tooth that's bugging me or my transportation?
So sometimes you might have to do a temporizing measure until the finances do something else?
Or say, hey, how about $5 this month and $5 next month? And then pretty soon they forget about the $5.
Well,
that's all part of living up here, so
Yeah.
you don't sweat that
Yeah,
kind of thing. You just keep going.
But potentially there is some help coming by way of what's called Obamacare. But isn't there part of the it hasn't been defined yet? But isn't HHS working on possible that part of the basic plan has to include some dental services, Chris?
Yeah, they are. And what's interesting is for the first time ever, oral health has found its way into the Healthy People 2020 objectives. And these are objectives that the federal government sets forth for health within the country, health and health care within the country. So the current administration has been very strong and interested in oral health, and it's encouraging to see that oral health is now included in the discussions.
And I think a lot of that may have come from some of the general effects on our general health that people probably didn't appreciate now. And we're realizing, like the eyes, like every specialist, the skin, the teeth, that's really a window to your overall health. It's not just an isolated organ system, Bud, you had a question?
One of the things that, it wasn't really a question. I got to brag on Doc a little bit because he's seeing kids now that are great grandchildren of the patients that he first saw. And one of the things I've always heard about the kids here is they don't mind going to Doc Donaldson because after they've been there once and seen that there's no big monster hiding behind the dental chair and that, hey, this is pretty painless and it was pretty unique, and then they're ready to come back again. And that is something that you don't get to see very much.
Plus, what I really appreciate is, given all of the, they call it music that the kids listen to. When they go to Doc's office, they get an education in the fine performing arts with excellent music.
Yes, sir.
We had one young man that several years ago, he doesn't live here anymore. How come you never asked me to be in community players until I get in this dental chair? And I'm not going to say no to you in here.
Well, one of Doc's favorite things is us drinking a lot of sweet, phosphoric acid-laden dark sodas. So we're all going to enjoy a Pepsi here in the break and rot our teeth so that he has plenty of business, and Dr. Halliday's students will have plenty of clinical material to work on in the coming years. Just kidding. A glass of fluorinated water, anyone? We'll be right back.
As the season of nears, the parties begin. Most are filled with food and often. So if you partake in don't pick up the keys to your, instead, a friend, a cab, take the bus, just don't. And brought to you by the Iowa Department of Public Safety, Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau.
For the thousands of people that have received a transplant, the reason they're thankful this holiday season are probably similar to yours. A roof over their head, family, health, happiness. But it's because of an organ or tissue donor they're able to hold on to those things a little tighter. Be a donor. Regardless of your age, health condition, or lifestyle, you can be on Iowa's donor registry. Give a life-size gift. Sign up at iowadonorregistry.org. Thousands will be thankful.
Thanksgiving weekend is a time for food, fun, and family. The Missouri State Highway Patrol will participate in Operation CARE, combined accident reduction effort, during this period. As a part of this operation, all available officers will be assigned to Missouri's roadways to enforce traffic laws, especially those related to drunk driving, seat belts use, and speeding. The patrol urges all drivers to be courteous and follow all traffic laws. A message from Sergeant Brent Bernhardt of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and KMEM.
A few years ago, I noticed my vision getting blurry, and things I do every day, like reading and driving, were becoming more difficult. I thought it was part of getting older, but I was wrong. I have a disease called age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. It's the leading cause of blindness in people 55 and older. The good news is there are treatments that can reduce vision loss from AMD. Plus, there are things you can do now to lower your risk of getting it in the first place. The Foundation Fighting Blindness provides information about preventing and managing AMD. Call the Foundation today at 800-585-0516 for a free AMD packet and take the first step toward protecting your vision. I'm thankful I found out about my AMD early enough to still be able to drive and see the faces of my loved ones. Call 800-585-0516 and get your free AMD packet. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, John, freeze! John, what the heck are you doing?
Mike, you told me to freeze, so I stopped moving.
I meant give me that freeze highlight, big boy.
Swinging a high drive to center field. Get up, baby! Get up, baby! Get up! Oh, yeah! David Freese has just sent us into game number 7.
I could hear that thing all day long. Listen to the Cardinals.
On your Cardinal connection in the tri-state, KMEM Memphis, Missouri.
What a night! What an evening of baseball!
For I never knew the art of making love, though my heart aches with love for you. Afraid and shy, I let my chance go by, a chance that you might love me too. You give your hand to me, and then you say goodbye. I watch you walk away beside the lucky guy. Oh, you'll never know the one who loves you so.
Little pre-Thanksgiving music, Michael Bublé. Trying to help Doc appreciate some of the finer new music in town. I got to get you a Bublé album. You love it because you enjoy the finer things in life. Dr. Chris Halliday and Dr. Harlow Donaldson join us today, and Chris is the inaugural dean of the Missouri School of Dentistry and Oral Health in Kirksville, affiliated with. Is it a school of ATSU?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And in affiliation with the health council down there, they're going to be doing eventually having some chairs, right, where people will be seen.
In Kirksville, and we've actually signed affiliation agreements with the CEOs of all of the CHCs throughout the state. So they have all the other CHCs, in addition to Kirksville, have an interest in participating in training the students.
Good. We'd like to invite your phone calls. We don't have a ton of time. It's 19 minutes till the hour on Healthy You. The numbers are 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875.
So if you have a general dentist question, if you have a question about the school down there, please give us a buzz. Chris, what is your target student audience? I mean, are you particularly looking at people that are from rural America, more likely to go there or not?
We are. What we're looking for individuals who have a proven history of service, whether it's community service to their country.
Mm-hmm.
We want folks that can demonstrate to us that they have a strong interest in serving their communities. In addition, we'd very much like to attract a large percentage of our student population from Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we'd also like to attract individuals who have a strong interest in living and practicing in rural communities too. Our overall goal is hopefully we can turn out dentists who will go out and help to address the needs in these underserved population groups.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, so maybe one of these tots who Dr. Donaldson has taken care of over the years, and it wasn't the evil experience they thought, and now they have pretty pearly whites, and that's the kind of person whose family is committed to rural America, who wants to live here, the person who doesn't want to throw their childhood behind and they want to be here. That'd be an awesome person to talk with you, right?
Absolutely. And pipeline programs are going to be a strong emphasis of the school. Mm-hmm. We're going to involve the dental students in pipeline programs to go out and talk to the young folks in the communities that they'll be serving throughout the state. So whether it's a dentist such as Dr. Donaldson or the dental students, we want to make sure that we can introduce the prospect of careers in the health professions and hopefully oral health professions to these young folks.
Well, through the hospital here, Marcia Dial has put together, and Chris Hyde, our executive assistant, runs the champion of the program, the Med Club that involves 5 counties, Elisa? 4 counties. And I mean, hundreds of kids are involved in this, and whether it's a lab tech or a doc or a nurse or a dentist, I think any of those are great, and the pipeline approach is good. Let's drill down into that a little further. If someone has a student who is a excellent scholastic individual, and they seem to have a little spark for dentistry maybe, and they're in their sophomore or junior year, I mean, when is the right time to start talking to you about what to do in your undergrad training to be prepared for that. Is that too early?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not too early, and I'd suggest individuals have a preliminary interest, whether they're even in elementary school, to talk to their local dentist. There may be opportunities for these young folks to shadow the dentist or to come over and help in the office. It'd be a great introduction to the dental profession to these young folks. As far as folks wanting to go to dental school, I would encourage them to start talking to their pre-dental counselors in their university or college. While they're in high school, once again, I'd encourage them to talk to the local dentist or to call over to the dental school.
Okay.
I'd be glad to talk with them, or any of my staff members would as well.
What's the number over there?
Our phone number in Kirksville is area code 660-626-2800.
And the website is atsu.edu/MOSDOH.
That's correct. And on that website also, we have a camera there that's set up outside the building, and it records the progress of the building. I believe that image is updated every 5 or 10 minutes. So if you go to that website, you can take a look at the building as it's going up. Awesome. It's going to be a beautiful 61,000 square foot building. And what I'm pointing out to people is it's not just the dental school. What this is going to be an interprofessional education center. We're going to have medical students from the Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine training in the building along with the dental students. So we're going to foster an atmosphere where the medical and the dental students are training together, and the goal of A.T. Still University is to be a leader in interprofessional education.
Reflecting that co-training reflects that increasing relationship between what's going on in your mouth and what's going on in the rest of your body. It really is a serious issue that people just don't consider. I can tell you as an obstetrician, women that are pregnant and have terrible oral health, I walk out every visit and tell my nurse, we're going to have a problem. I don't know what it is, whether it's preterm labor, whether it's a small baby, whether it's both, whatever. We're more likely to have a problem. And that applies, like you said, to heart disease and everything else. So, yeah.
Man, what you just mentioned, it's reflected in the science and the literature.
Yeah.
And I'd put a special call out to diabetic patients as well. It's very important for the diabetic patients to make sure they get into the dentist. Try to get regular cleanings often as possible. There's literature out there showing that diabetic patients who get into the dental clinic, have regular cleanings. We're able to minimize the infections in the gum, thus improving their overall health and their diabetic conditions as well.
Just briefly, let's connect the dots between what's going on in the gums and around the teeth and the oral health, and general inflammation in the body and how that affects heart problems. Do you want to talk about that, Carlo? What does it all mean?
Well, it's a total picture on the thing. Whether the problem's in the mouth or whether you have a big sore out here on your arm or your body someplace, the body's going to try to repair that spot.
Yeah.
And when it's trying to repair that spot, it's neglecting something else.
Yeah.
And before long, because that system is messed up, then another system comes along and it's trying to pick up where the other two are failing, and before long, things are all messed up.
So this reflects what we talk about frequently on the program, that a common denominator of a lot of disease, whether it's cancer, whether it's heart disease, whether it's a uterus contracting before it should, has to do with inflammation, what I call the fire within.
That's correct.
And if there's too much of a fire in your vessels, called inflammation, which is sort of that spark coming off the electronic train track in your old, running around the tree at Christmas, the little sparks that go off. That kind of damage has collateral effects. Is that what we're getting at, Chris?
That's exactly what we're getting at. And anyone who has puffy gums or gums that bleed very easily, periodontal disease, that's an inflammation of the gums.
Okay.
And that's an introductory site for this condition to spread throughout the body or affect the entire body.
And we have non-specific ways of measuring inflammation, and that's one test is called a CRP, a C-reactive protein, and that tends to be a little higher among people with periodontal disease, right?
That is correct.
And we know that, for instance, people that have normal cholesterol but have higher CRP, higher inflammation, have, by some studies, a higher risk of heart disease than those who have higher cholesterol but normal inflammation. So I describe our vascular health sort of as a loaded gun. I mean, it never killed anyone. It was the trigger, right? So you can have high cholesterol, but if you're not as inflamed, it's not going to do the same damage. And so who would have thunk it that the way our teeth look and feel and bleed has a lot to do with places other words in our body. It's a big, big deal.
It's a big deal, and that's all the more reason why I'd like to see the dental students and the medical students training alongside each other.
And I think we're in the infancy of that, don't you? I mean, I think there's a lot more to learn to that story.
Yeah, it's a growing trend, and I think you'll see a lot more about that in the next several years.
All right, we're going to wrap it up and put a bow on it here after this brief break. Maybe we come back, gentlemen. We can talk. You talked about preventive cleaning. That's important. Let's talk about other primary prevention. Our producer, Elisa, isn't going to like this because we're going to talk about the low-hanging fruit to, attend to if you want to have healthy chompers and healthy gums. Elisa won't like this. You'll have to stay listening to learn what it is. We'll be right back.
That's life, and I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't buy it. But if there's nothing shaking come this here July, I'm gonna roll, I'm gonna roll, I'm gonna roll myself.
When you like Radio Iowa News on Facebook, you won't get gossip or personal updates. What you will get is news, real news, politics, legislation, the economy, sports, and more. We'll help you stay up to date on the latest in the Hawkeye State. Whether it's a breaking story at the Capitol, an update from a press conference, or the latest headlines from the Cyclones or the Hawkeyes, our reporters are posting updates throughout the day. Log on to Facebook and like Radio Iowa News, and let us bring real news to your Facebook page. Your state, your news. Radio Iowa. Whether you're on your way to work, running errands, or relaxing on vacation, news happens. Don't miss any of the state's top stories. Stay informed at radioiowa.com. Get the latest news from the Capitol and across the state. We cover it all, from the economy to agriculture, sports to politics. Read articles or listen to newscasts at radioiowa.com from a computer, tablet, or your smartphone. No matter where you are when news happens, your statewide news coverage is always at radioiowa.com. Your state, your news. Radio Iowa.
What is America's best country? Well, America's best country is Johnny Cash.
And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
America's best country is Lori Morgan.
I'm looking for something in red, something that's shocking to turn someone.
America's best country is the Oak Ridge Boys.
Elvira, Elvira, my heart's on fire for Elvira.
America's best
If you
country
remember
is
poodle
Marty
skirts,
Robbins.
mini skirts, or bell bottoms, you're just the. If you remember poodle.
My fault, ladies and gentlemen. I pushed the wrong button. I got so excited because Dr. Hadley said something that absolutely stunned me. He said, dental disease. Now, let me get this right, Dr. Chris Hadley, inaugural dean of the Missouri School of Dental and Oral Health in Kirksville. You said dental disease is 100% preventable.
Virtually all oral diseases.
Oral disease. Yeah, and even in the gums and stuff with the and the cheek with tobacco problems and so forth, and whiskey. Yeah,
it's not a disease. The gum problem is caused from an irritation.
Okay.
Calculus and plaque, and if you don't keep that off of there, you're going to have gum problems. And that's what kids, when they come in, I don't like come in here. I don't like. Okay, we know that over 70% of dental decay can be prevented by oral hygiene.
Okay, let's talk about some of the low-hanging fruit there. What are some of the simple things people can do? Because after all, Elisa's going to make a really sugary pie, and that's one of the little standing jokes we have here on the program. Elisa is a great, great cook with that sugar. But let's say I feel guilty because I just heard Drs. Halliday and Donaldson talk, and they said, well, you got to watch the sugar because it makes the plaque go and the calculus and whatever. I don't want to have gingivitis. What should I do? Not eat the pie? Is there anything I can do to reduce my risk?
Well, of course, limiting the sugar intake is a big thing. What happens is when you have the sugars in the mouth, the bacteria that are already in your mouth feed upon those sugars.
Okay.
And the product that those bacteria produce after eating the sugars are acids.
Okay.
Those are acids which decay the teeth.
Okay.
So limiting your sugar intake's one real strong way to limit the amount of oral disease. Another way is oral hygiene. I mean, simply brushing. There's not so much per se wrong with having a sweet once in a while, but try to brush. Or, as Dr. Donaldson mentioned, try to also, if you can't brush, try to swish your mouth out. And those simple acts will help to remove a lot of the bacteria and the acids in your mouth, which could lead to tooth decay.
So any way that you reduce the sugar load in your mouth after whatever you eat is a good thing. And that's simple. Swish and dilute it out and swallow it, or brush it, or both.
And they say if you're going to drink pop, it's better to drink pop with a straw. Because you're not getting all this, the whole mouth. It's going from the straw down the hatch.
Oh.
You're not getting the whole thing. And I'll have kids say, "Well, you don't eat my Halloween candy."
Yeah.
And I say, "I don't care if you eat your candy, but if you take a bite of a candy bar, eat the whole thing. Don't take a bite and lay it down and go back in 15 minutes later, take another bite, and then go back pretty soon. You take another bite." Eat it and get it over with.
So this is why the snacking that a lot of kids do is not a good thing, because they really have a constant exposure to the sugar.
That's exactly what it is. The frequent intake of the types of foods which can
So
lead
the
to
analogy
cavities.
with this agricultural community would be, rather than fertilizing those bacteria, in the fall and the spring, we're fertilizing them every day, and they love it.
They love
every morning of every day.
Because to them, the sugar's the fertilizer, and the bacteria
we
are
don't eat 3
growing.
meals a day anymore.
Yeah.
Like Mom and Dad used to on the farm.
Yeah.
Where you ate breakfast and you ate lunch and you ate supper.
Well, so I would think, though, if it's a good idea to reduce the exposure of the bacteria in your mouth to sugar, it would be a good idea not to eat something sweet and hit the sack right before bed. Bad news, huh?
Unless you brush right after eating that sweet.
How do you feel about the swish the swish your mouth and make it taste like Listerine kind of things, to use a name brand? They claim to do everything except, pass the calculus test for you. Come to think of it, pun intended. But I mean, makes your teeth wide, reduces bad breath, reduces cavities, reduces plaque, whatever. Are those is that all just fine marketing, or is there some place for those? Do we have an opinion?
Well, water do you?
Okay.
Yeah, it's mainly the physical action of swishing and spitting out, whether
Really?
it's a mouthwash or any other.
So I'm
water.
spending $5 a pop for that stuff, and I don't need it.
Right.
Okay. And flossing, I guess as much as you can do it is good, but twice a day is the best, or not?
That would be great.
Okay.
But minimum once a day would be fine. But getting back to the swishing, there are some mouth rinses you can buy that contain fluoride.
Okay.
So for folks who, for whatever reason, may not be receiving optimal levels of fluoride, those types of mouthwash may be a benefit to them.
I have a concern that with all the, we have the big 5-gallon bottle of mineral water that we love because we like the taste of it. It tastes great, and so we do that. But I don't think it has fluoride in it. So we should definitely be using a fluoride swish, right?
Well, you need to check that because some bottled waters will contain fluoride and some don't. So it'd be nice if you can check it.
We should check with the Pepsi people up here, because a lot of people in the community, and I know a lot of businesses have the little water cooler with the 5-gallon carboy there. So if the folks at Pepsi are listening, give Elisa a call, and we'll try to figure that out by next time. And if not, Elisa, maybe you can do your homework on that and find out. Or Bud, okay? Because I'd be curious about that. That's made a huge difference in our oral health, hasn't it?
One of the big concerns that I have is when our rural community had to leave our public water system and go to the lake out of Iowa because we lost the fluoride that was going to not just town, but all of our rural water. All of our people that lived in the country was having benefit of.
We don't have fluoride in our water here?
We do locally.
Oh, we do locally.
But when we had to go from the lake out in the rural water districts.
Us Bible Grovians don't have that?
No, do not. That's the reason why I asked Bill. I said when you switch, can you put a big switch in there so that when our treatment plant, if we can redo it so we can handle all rural water supply again, that we can get everyone on rural water supply from our treatment plant where we are fluoridated instead of the Iowa lake that does not have the maximum amount that we like to have supplement.
And on the note of water fluoridation, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has designated water fluoridation as being one of the greatest public health achievements
absolutely
in history.
Holy cow, I didn't realize that. That's wild. Well, listen, this has been just a wonderful program, not only to learn about what the exciting things going on at the dental school down there. I mean, I'm just so thankful that you're here and bring all of your expertise and experience here. And maybe we need to have a little arm wrestling afterwards to make sure that Dr. Donaldson does a lecture or two down there. What do you say?
You don't need to twist my arm. He's invited.
Okay, we'll twist his. And Doc, as always, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. You guys are great, and it was a good program.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed what you heard, and you maybe have someone you know who would like to consider someday going into the dental school there, the number is 660-626-2800. The website, atsu.edu/MOSDOH. Dr. Chris Hadley, Dr. Harlow Donaldson, thank you very much, and a blessed Thanksgiving to you both.
Thank you.
All right, take care. That'll do it for this time. Thanks, Bud. Thanks, Elisa. Elisa, I do give thanks for your very sweet pies. I do.
I'm going to crawl off in the corner and eat my perhaps very last Hostess Twinkie and then go brush my teeth.
And remember, now this is the week, if you just think Tobler's usually just saying this for just talking, filling time, believe it. Listen to it. This week, be well. Share it with someone you love. Give them a big hug. We'll see you next week on Healthy University.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.